Hello class again, and welcome to this particular video. And in here we're going to be exploring how to determine a specific dimensions of a circle given an area. And we talked about an area of a specific shape to be the space that a particular space occupies, usually in 2 dimensions. And so in this particular case, we're given a particular question that says that given the area of a circular carpet to be 40 squared centimeters, determine the following. So you're going to find one, the radius, second is diameter, and finally is the circumference. And so what we need to ask ourselves is this: what is given in this particular question? And in this case, we know that what is given in this question is the area, and the area of a specific circular object. Circular, which means that if I draw a circle, in this particular case, hopefully it's actually a perfect circle, which I hope it is. And once you have this circle, it says that the area that this particular circle occupies in space is measured to be 40 centimeters squared, which means that the space, all this region here that is inside the circumference of this circle is measured to be green, area of the carpet, which is indeed a circle, is equal to 40 centimeter squared. And so once we have this, we need to now use the area to determine first the radius. And we know from our specific expression for radius, we know that to find the area of a radius, so the radius given the area, we know that first area is expressed as the product, or you multiply the pi, which we know to be 3.14, by the square of your radius. And so by default, since we know that we are given the area, we need to find what the radius is, which means that we are going to equate our radius to, first, what we have to do is have our area divided by your pi, and then your result, you do the square root of your answer. And so when you have this particular expression, you will be able to determine the radius, and our radius is going to be shown as from the center of the circle to any point on the circumference of that particular circle. And this particular distance is called radius, which we are going to represent as the variable r. So in this case, to find r, what we have to do is first we have our area to be, in this case, 40, and we are going to divide it by pi, which we know to be what? 3.14, and our result, we do the square root. And so take note that in this case here, once we do our square root of our centimeter, you don't need to know about this, but square root of our centimeter squared, this will give us our answer to be in centimeters. So this is something to just keep in mind in the future. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go to your calculator, and what you're going to do is type, in this case, based on the question, it says what we have to do is do 40. So you're going to type 40 divided by pi. You look for the pi function in your calculator, hit pi, and that gives you your number. And from this number, what we are going to do you're going to do equal to, and we have our number to be 12.732, and then what you're going to do next is to do the square root, which is what we see right here. So the square root, the symbol is, you're going to find it right here, hit square root, and that is the number. So our answer of this particular question is 3.568 centimeters, and that is our radius of the circle. So the radius of the circle is 3.568 centimeters, and this is the number that we are figured out for our radius here to be 3.5. We're just going to stop right there, and that's pretty nice. Now the next part is, once you're given the radius and you're asked to find, hey, what is the diameter? Now, to determine the diameter, since we know the radius, we know from our previous class that the relationship between the diameter and the radius, in this case our radius, is from one end of our specific circle through the center to the other end, which is represented as D. We see that D is equal to 2 times our radius. And so once we'll figure out our radius, which is shown here, we will be able to determine what our diameter is. So in this case, we're going to do 2 times our radius, which is 3.568. Take note that the unit is in centimeters. And so therefore, you go to your calculator, we have this our number, and what we do is that we're going to multiply it, hit times 2, which means that you're going to hit times, in this case 2, and you hit equals to, and that gives us 7.136 centimeters, which is double. So in here, our diameter is equal to 7.136 centimeters. And finally is that since we have determined our diameter or radius, you can find the circumference from there. There are 2 ways to go about it for sure. And 2 ways to go about it is by remembering that since the circumference, which is the total distance around this particular carpet, which is shown right here, which is starting from here, the green line, all around the outer region, and where you stop right here, which is called the circumference, is in this case going to be determined by multiplying 2 by our pi, and our pi will multiplying it by our radius. Or you can also do determine our circumference by multiplying our pi by our diameter only. And so what you're going to see is that we're going to get 2 answers that are exactly the same. So on one side, if you want to use this formula, it means that our C in this case is equal to 2 times our pi multiplied by our radius, which is what we determined right above to be, in this case, 3.568. And so therefore we go in there, we type in our number, which is 3.568. And once you go to your calculator, you will be able to get the answer that is the same as typing C is equal to pi times our specific diameter, which we figure to be above here to be 7.136. And so 2 times 3.568 is equal to 7.136, which is in this case pi multiplied by 7.136. And so by going to our calculator and putting pi, or you go to calculator and type times pi, that gives us our specific answer to be 22.419, or in this case 22.42. So our circumference in this case is 22.1. Let me check to confirm our answer here. 22.4, don't forget that, 2 centimeters. And the same answer is what you have as well over here. So 22.42 centimeters. So this is how we're able to determine not only the radius, but also the diameter and the circumference of a circle. Take note that the circumference of a circle here, for this example, is 22.42 centimeters. The next one here for our diameter, as we measured here, is equal to 7.136 centimeters. And finally here is our specific radius to be determined to be in this part 3.1568 centimeters. And so this is how you're able to figure out what the specific area of a circle is, or use the area of a circle to determine the radius, the diameter, and the circumference right here. So I hope you found this really informative in terms of when you're given the area of a specific shape, in this case a circle, how are you going to figure out the diameter, the radius, and the circumference. You're going to have questions like this. Please make sure you're able to follow all these steps, applying the numbers, and you're good to go. All the same, thanks for following me through this. Truly appreciate it. See you in the next video. Stay smart as always, and believe in yourselves.